Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with brothers Connor and Murphy McManus. The devoted Irish brothers with a strong connection to their faith, begin their day by reciting a family prayer passed down through generations. On St. Patrick's Day, after attending church and hearing a poignant sermon about the sin of inaction, they find themselves contemplating the consequences of apathy. Working at a meat packing factory, the brothers lead a quiet life, intervening only when compelled to fight for justice. Despite their tough exterior, Connor and Murphy are beloved by their neighbors and friends for their friendly and outgoing nature. Doc, the owner of the neighborhood bar, is a true friend who supports them. However, troubling news disrupts their routine, when Doc reveals that the Russian mafia plans to take over his bar, a cherished refuge for the brothers. As tensions rise, the Russian mob sends burly thugs to evict Doc, leading to a confrontation with the McManus brothers. Hoping to resolve the issue peacefully, the brothers find themselves facing Ivan Chekhov, a ruthless mobster determined to achieve his goals at any cost. The situation takes a dark turn when the lifeless bodies of the Russian gangsters are discovered near Doc's bar. FBI Special Agent Paul arrives to investigate, joined by Detective Greenlee, who has his own theories about the crime. Paul, however, is skeptical, and begins unraveling the mystery independently. Examining the evidence with a keen mind, he discovers a shocking truth: Connor and Murphy are prime suspects in the murders. Convinced that the brothers acted out of personal vendetta, he sets out to catch them. As the police arrive at the brothers' apartment, the missing toilet becomes a key piece of evidence, confirming Paul's suspicions. Despite Detective Greenlee's resistance to the theory, Paul is determined to unveil the complex truth behind the murders. While recovering in the hospital from their brutal encounter with the Russian thugs, the battered and bruised brothers receive a visit from Doc, who delivers the shocking news that Agent Paul is investigating the murders. Undeterred and despite the gravity of the situation, the brothers remain resolute. Convinced they acted in self-defense, they express their willingness to explain their actions to Paul. Recognizing the deep trouble they're in, they are determined to clear their names. Trusting Doc to safeguard their weapons and money, they hand them over, while confined to the hospital. Meanwhile at the police station, Paul is infuriated with his colleagues for leaking case details to the media. The news of the Russian gangsters' deaths spreads rapidly, turning Connor and Murphy into town heroes. Despite this, Paul remains committed to ensuring justice is served. When the battered Connor and Murphy arrive at the police station, Paul, determined to uncover the truth, decides to interrogate them alone. Informed that everything is recorded, the brothers agree to tell their side of the story, though they remain tight-lipped about the guns and money they found. Their retelling of the incident begins. Tensions escalated at the bar, where Ivan and his henchmen are spoiling for a fight. Rocco, drunk and belligerent, provokes Ivan, leading to a brutal punch that triggers chaos. Connor and Murphy and their friends join the fray, defending their neighborhood. The brutal fight unfolds with punches and kicks flying, leaving the brothers outnumbered. Fueled by desperation, they manage to subdue one of the henchmen, tying him to a table and setting his rear end on fire, while the fate of the other two remains unknown, lying in the street. The morning after the intense bar fight, they awaken to a chilling sight in their apartment: two heavily bandaged henchmen seeking revenge. Despite having tended to the men's wounds after the brawl, it becomes apparent that the care provided did not appease their anger. Ivan, the gang leader, fueled by rage, reveals his intent to kill Murphy first and then Connor. As the henchmen begin dragging Murphy away, something within Connor snaps. He seizes the missing toilet, rushes to the roof, and hurls it at Ivan with all his might, rendering him unconscious. In a determined effort to save his brother, he confronts the other henchman with two powerful blows to Ivan's head. The brothers seize the money and guns, and hastily make their way to the hospital. Following a thorough investigation, Paul concludes that Connor and Murphy acted in self-defense, absolving them of any wrongdoing. Despite their exoneration, the brothers opt to remain in their cell, until the media frenzy subsides outside the police station. A collective sigh of relief sweeps through the town as news spreads of the brothers' innocence. However, their respite is short-lived, as a vision or calling propels them to take action against the criminals plaguing their city. Seeing themselves as soldiers in a war against corruption, the brothers embark on a holy crusade to cleanse their community. The next day, still reeling from their vision, the brothers discover a message on Ivan's phone, leading them to crucial information. As the city buzzes with talk of their heroic deeds, Connor takes charge, using his knowledge of Russian to uncover plans for a criminal meeting that evening. The brothers, fueled by purpose, decide to take matters into their own hands. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, Rocco, a runner for the Italian mafia, finds himself in a tight spot amidst the conflict between the Russian and Irish gangs. Facing Papa Joe, the mafia boss, Rocco is pressured to make him laugh. Desperate to save himself, he shares a joke, leaving the room in suspense, until Papa Joe erupts in laughter, earning Rocco the moniker of Funny Man to his immense relief. Connor and Murphy have a mission. They need weapons for a fight against the criminals. They sell the jewelry and guns they took from the henchmen, to get money and then buy new weapons. Connor thinks a rope is essential, just like in spy movies. Murphy is unsure at first but agrees. Armed and prepared, they head to meet the Russian mob boss. Elsewhere, Agent Paul is called to a gruesome scene, where 9 criminals are found dead, each with a religious coin in their eyes. Connor and Murphy crawl through ventilation shafts to reach their target stealthily. However, they argue over the tangled rope, accidentally creating a hole in the attic and falling below. Fortunately, the rope catches them, and they land safely. They quickly take action, firing weapons and eliminating all the henchmen in the room. The brothers are determined to stop at nothing to eliminate their enemies. With the criminals defeated, they make the mob boss kneel and recite a prayer, before ending his life. As they prepare to leave, they find a briefcase with a large sum of money. Their joy is short-lived when they hear a knock on the door. Nervously opening the door, they find Rocco, the man they saved from the Russian mafia. Grabbing him, ready to defend themselves, they realize Rocco is shaken and confused. He explains that Papa Joe ordered him to kill the 9 Russians with only 6 bullets. Agent Paul continues investigating the massacre, thinking it's a result of a mafia gang war, but he feels there's more to the story. Meanwhile, Connor and Murphy visit Rocco's house to discuss their plan to rid the city of criminals. They get drunk and let their guard down, but things take a dark turn when Rocco accidentally kills his girlfriend's cat while playing with a gun. The next morning, Rocco and Connor take a walk, where Connor explains that Papa Joe set Rocco up to fail, by sending him on a dangerous mission. Rocco is hesitant to believe it, but Connor and Murphy convince him that Papa Joe betrayed him. After a heated argument, Rocco storms off, determined to confront Papa Joe. Hours later, he returns, his face filled with anger and fear, urging the brothers to leave town, as they're in danger. He reveals that he went to Papa Joe's bar and discovered everyone knew he was supposed to be killed. In a fit of rage and desperation, Rocco snaps and kills everyone in the bar. Shifting back to Rocco bursting into Papa Joe's bar, shooting 2 goons and the bartender. In a frenzy of rage, Rocco suggests targeting Vincenzo, Papa Joe's right-hand man. The 3 follow Vincenzo to a strip club, witnessing him brutally strangling a dancer. They take action, killing Vincenzo in a hail of gunfire. Their actions don't go unnoticed, and Officer Paul is hot on their trail, determined to solve the case. His theory of only 2 gunmen is debunked, when a club employee reports seeing 3 people shooting. To make matters worse, 2 unrelated street criminals are killed in the crossfire, casting doubt on Paul's belief in a mob war. As he investigates further, Paul learns about the massacre at Papa Joe's bar, becoming more perplexed. Frustrated by the lack of progress and infuriated that he couldn't identify the culprit, Paul storms out of the precinct in frustration. Meanwhile, Papa Joe becomes aware that he's a target, and decides to hire a fearsome hitman, Il Duce. Il Duce has been imprisoned for years in criminal circles. Papa Joe believes they must stop Rocco, before he exposes the crime family to the police or eliminates them all, so he arranges for the hitman to be released from prison. Rocco informs Connor and Murphy about the ruthless hitman they need to eliminate, for the greater good. Il Duce, a relentless killer, will do anything to reach his target. Rocco learns about the hitman's poker game, and plans to break into his house and eliminate everyone there. Connor and Murphy arrive at the hitman's house in a minivan, determined to eliminate him. As they sneak inside, Officer Paul reconstructs the events. Chaos ensues as the 3 shoot everyone in sight. In the midst of the confusion, they discover the hitman is actually Vincent Vega, who is in the bathroom at the crucial moment. Vincent attacks Rocco, seeking revenge, and Connor and Murphy leave Rocco to face the hitman alone. They toss Rocco a golf ball, which he uses to defeat Vincent. As they exit the house, they encounter Il Duce, who fires all his guns, but fails to kill them. Rocco is injured and loses a finger, but the 3 survive. Paul is upset, because he can't figure out who killed the bad people in the city. However, when he finds Rocco's finger, he feels relieved, thinking he can find the culprits. Rocco, Connor and Murphy hear that Paul wants to keep looking for the killers. Rocco suggests killing Paul, but the other 2 refuse, because he's a good guy. Later, Paul puts the finger in the computer, traces the clues and sees a picture in his mind, and realizes Connor, Murphy and Rocco are eliminating bad people in the city. He has to decide whether to stop them or turn a blind eye. Though he thinks what Connor and Murphy are doing is right, he can't agree with it. He goes to a bar near the church and gets drunk, contemplating his decision. The next morning, Rocco spots Paul and follows him. Paul wants to tell the truth, but Rocco wants to hurt him. Connor stops Rocco and asks the priest to talk to Paul. Connor realizes that Paul is on their side, as the agent promises to help the brothers, and leaves. Later, Connor and Murphy call Paul for help. The brothers are headed to Papa Joe's house to kill him. It's a more urgent matter than finding Il Duce, so he decides to help Connor and Murphy, learning that the brothers are walking into a trap in the house. While trying to get inside, the brothers get caught and tied up. Papa Joe kills Rocco, deeply upsetting the brothers. Paul dresses up as a drag to the house, tricks a guard to follow him to the bathroom, and kills him and another bad guy. Connor and Murphy escape and kill a bad guy who enters the room. They pray for their dead friend, when suddenly Il Duce enters, hitting Paul on the head and making him pass out. Il Duce prepares to open fire, but overhears the family prayer of Connor and Murphy. He joins them and finishes the prayer, revealing he's their father, and only they know the prayer. They all decide to work together to get rid of the bad people in the city. 3 months later, Papa Joe faces trial, and despite substantial evidence against him, reporters at the scene predict his acquittal, due to his charismatic presence. The trial takes an unexpected turn when the two brothers and Il Duce, supported by Agent Paul and police officers, infiltrate and secure the courtroom. In a bold move, they publicly announce their mission to eradicate evil, reciting their prayer one last time, and publicly executing Papa Joe. The media dubs the three as the Saints, with interviews of Boston citizens pondering the question, are the Saints ultimately good or evil? The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.